if you're advising the Atlantic Coast Conference, our beloved Atlantic Coast Conference, the conference of our youth, what would Candace's steps be? What would you as a consultant advise the ACC to do right now? Because right now, to your point, we're like a step below laughingstock. We may not be the third most powerful conference right now. That may the Big 12 has been making an argument about that when it's all said and done. So how would you have what should the next steps be for the ACC to remain viable, even though the grant of rights is going to be sticking to 2036? But we all know 2 or 3 years before the grant of rights is over, that's when announcements are made and whatnot. But what should the ACC do?
Yeah, I mean, in the time frame that we have the grant of rights, I think you can very much be plotting and planning. I think that right now, in the next 3 to 5 years, teams just don't have the financial luxury, especially with how some of the turnover has been for some of these programs. Like they're having to pay these coaches, things like Florida State can't afford to, Miami and Mario Cristobal can't afford to try and leave the situation. But what I would do is sell my soul, like Illuminati style, to try and get Notre Dame in, like that. Whatever I had to do to get the Fighting Irish to be fully in, because Notre Dame has a fan base like I've never seen, and covering a lot of football, they in droves. And because for, at a time, we know that was the only football some people could watch growing up. And so they've just, been passed down. They got the Rudy thing. Like there's just so many levels to Notre Dame. So you've got to figure out how to get Notre Dame in the conversation. And then from there, you have to sugar and figure out how to spread money to your powerhouses, Clemson, the Miamis, the Florida States, the North Carolinas, who all have extremely strong brands. And you have to try and figure out ways to elevate the I would say poorer football programs that we have in the ACC currently. So it's all about, you have good pieces, but you need to add that one missing, like get that queen in there. Notre Dame to me would be the queen.
Now, aside from Notre Dame, do you think that uneven revenue distribution, similar to what the Big 12 did with Oklahoma and Texas, would you recommend that, or how would you go about that?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, you should have a revenue split based on performance, based on, financial attributions that you bring to the conference. I think there definitely needs to be a conversation around that, because we know certain schools are doing better than others. But I don't think there's a slouch team that we have here, or a slouch program, or slouch money in any of our schools. Everyone's well off. Like Duke's not hurting for anything, right? Sure. Clemson, from a football brand standpoint, it's not hurting for anything. So I think, better distribution, I think that would make people internally happy, and then you can move on from there. And then you also, again, sweeten up the deal with Notre Dame to make them feel like we're not trying to come in and take what you got. We just want to add to, we want you to add to what we already have rolling.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that about performance-based, because I don't think we have to worry about Boston College, Louisville, and Wake Forest crying, complaining, been threatened to leave. I don't think no one wants them. So, you make a good point.